Good morning, conservatives. This is John Moraga. Welcome to the first of what is hopefully many audio podcasts that Conservatives Corner is able to produce. I have mentioned in the past, for those of you who have checked out some of our other videos, I'm not a professional radio personality. I don't have professional training, so a lot of this is kind of a learning experience as we go along here. But we want to do our best to give you the best production available. So if you give us a little bit of a learning curve and grow with us, we'd like to welcome you aboard, and hopefully you enjoy this and other resources that you're able to acquire. What we're establishing, and what we've already started to establish, and it almost seems like it's getting a little out of control, but what we've already started to do is business-to-business networking between various conservative small businesses or just personal bloggers or in-person contacts. And by doing so, we're able to at least give a general stage for people to communicate. Another podcast, another time, I'll get into the depths and of what we've done. And actually, this is a perfect opportunity to mention something that we've got available for you to consider to check out. We have an upcoming miniature documentary called Launch that we are about to get ready to produce and release. Now, obviously, this is something that we've put together, so I'm going to be biased, but folks, we delayed the release date. It was supposed to come out in summer of this year, 2017. But as we started to put the pieces together, as we started to get the data together, as we started to collect it, analyze it, and actually sift through what we were seeing, things started changing almost in real time. And as I speak, there is so much that has come out of that initial launch and been affected. It's hard to wrap our hands around. And so what we wanted to do was provide as much as we could. And unfortunately, basically that may just be an ongoing thing we're going to have to talk about. But we've decided to at least gather a little bit more material and add it to what we've already put together and pieced for this documentary. And we're going to wait until the end of this year, 2017, possibly early 2018, but it's winter. This winter it will be released, which means we will probably be editing the final parts of it sometime in December, and it just may depend how long that may take. But the point of that documentary, if any of you are curious, you can check it out on our Facebook page or our website. There's plenty of video to see. The point of it is to demonstrate what happened, what occurred when we launched Conservatives Corner in April of this year, 2017, and what happened immediately subsequent to that. And right now, as I said, we haven't even hit 6 months since that launch, and things are just going a million miles an hour. A million miles an hour. It is just literally, oh my. It is exciting, people. It is exciting, but it is a bit overwhelming at the same time. And this is not hyperbole. This is not me just trying to make something up. This is genuinely something unexpected. Now, folks, listen. If you're interested in what I have to say, then you're going to stick with what I've got to say. This is one of the longer presentations we'll be giving, or I'll be giving, because we have a lot of short 40-second, 2-minute clips available for you to check out and kind of see a brief description about what's in store and what we've got going on. But this is an opportunity to perhaps maybe engage a little bit deeper. So if you'll allow me the ability to have some stream of conscience and kind of work through the ideas that I've had on my mind for forever, and really kind of dig deep. And if you'll allow me to kind of go a little here, a little there, eventually I'll get back on track. So, a little bit about me. Now, I want to say up front, this is not in any way an attempt to boast or brag or highlight anything particularly special about me or my life or me as a human being or a person, but I grew up in Southern California, and California native all over different areas and different parts. My father's side is from Southern California, and mother's side is from Northern California. Eventually, I would enlist into the Air Force and be stationed at Vandenberg, but a little bit more on that in a moment. You could say I was a bit of a rambunctious kid, as many are, but at 15, I was determined to break into the entertainment industry, become a big movie star and some kind of celebrity. Well, my attempt at doing that went so far as actually acquiring an agent and representation and getting affiliated with several different side jobs as an extra, and eventually actually becoming a member of Screen Actors Guild, the union. So I actually did make some progress in doing what I set out to do initially. However, from 15 to 17, that was kind of a, how shall we say, a wake-up call. A bit of reality kind of set in as I looked around and I saw kind of the behind-the-scenes, literally, workings of Hollywood. And although, obviously, I never became a huge star or celebrity of any movie or TV show, what I was able to do was gain that pretty unique experience. But there is definitely a lot of left-wing liberal support and propaganda that is failed in Hollywood, and it's obviously gotten worse since I was involved. Now, over 20 years ago. Just to give some background from that time of my life. So I would eventually go and graduate from La Serna High School in Friendly Hills, California, and which is a little neighborhood of Whittier, California. And actually, even after I graduated high school, and about the first year or so that I was in the Air Force, I had still taken part in some minor jobs, commercials, movies, and TV, etc. Again, mostly extra work. But as I quickly mentioned there, I had enlisted in the Air Force in 1997. I was very fresh out of high school. In fact, I was only 3 months out of high school. It was October of 97 when I had graduated, June of that year. And basically spent the summer just having a little fun and took off. And so from 97 to 2001, I was stationed primarily at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, Central California. Many may know where that's at. I think being in the military and serving in the Air Force is, again, something that not most people do. And particularly, it is pretty demonstrative of how serious I am about wanting the best for this country and really putting my own life on hold, if you will, at least in a lot of aspects, to serve this country. Granted, it was at a young age, but I think especially because it was at a young age, it speaks to how passionate I am and pretty much always have been about wanting to see America prosper, wanting the best for every American, and genuinely recognizing that it requires some to step up and be willing to potentially sacrifice one's own life, one's time, one's desires. Um, so, essentially, immediately after getting out of the Air Force, I embarked on my undergraduate degree. And, well, for the sake of time, I don't want to get too far into what was entailed in the program and all that I did with it. But just briefly to mention, basically, as the name may imply, bioethics is essentially kind of medical philosophy or medical morality. And it addresses controversial issues like euthanasia, abortion, organ transplantation, and just a lot of things that we may not think of when we consider healthcare, when we consider beginning of life to end of life healthcare. It's not just at the doctor's office, as much as a lot of it is. Especially in today's day and age, there's quite a bit of autonomous care. Again, those three main areas, just being in Hollywood, being in the military, and studying a pretty unique field, I think will provide me a background and a point of view that I can draw from that I hope you'll find interesting, engaging, and as time goes on, hopefully I can improve how it's presented and the formats and the different types of segments that are organized and the different topics that are discussed. So we want to really invite you to check us out and continue to give us a little bit of time to grow and see where we're going to be going in the next 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, God willing, 10 years. We're in this for the long haul, people. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. We first may need to expand our staff. In fact, it's not a question of may. We already are in active recruiting stages to expand our staff and some of the positions because it's just at this point we risk losing some of you who have already started to tune in and want more material. So rather than sacrificing some of you who have already shown a genuine, serious interest in what we're doing, we want to maybe step back a little bit and provide that for you. I want to address more specifically the military aspect of my life and my history. Now, what I want to do is, very quickly, this is going to sound like I'm naming names, or as the kids would say, dropping dimes, or dropping names, whatever it is, name dropping or something. It's actually not, so, but Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Hugh Hewitt, Bill Bennett, Glenn Beck, Steve Deace, Jonah Goldberg, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder. Now, a lot of you may consider all of these personalities conservative. Some of you may only one or two, or maybe none of them conservative. Maybe you consider them all sellouts or whatever. But the fact is, a good portion of the American population considers one or all of these people conservative celebrities or conservative personalities. So again, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Hugh Hewitt, Bill Bennett, Glenn Beck, Steve Deace, Jonah Goldberg, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder. There's obviously a much longer list to these personalities, but the point is, just these people alone are some of the big names that people would refer to as, oh yeah, that's that one dude who's on radio and or TV or both, and he's always about talking about conservative ideas and issues and such. Well, let me ask you a question. Of all of those people, Rushion, Mark, Hugh, how many of them have actually served in the military? Now, I intentionally paused for a moment. It is not my intent to say that they cannot speak to things in the military. No, not by any means. That's ridiculous. But my point is, of all the people who are well known, who have a major national stage, international in some cases, there's not really a strong voice to speak from a first-hand personal experience of the military. I'm simply just making an observation, right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I wrong? Wrong, right. Now, that's not to say there aren't conservative veteran radio personalities. Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Hugh Hewitt, Bill Bennett, Glenn Beck, Steve Dace, Jonah Goldberg, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder. I mean, you could Charles Krauthammer, Michael Medved, Hugh Hewitt. I've already said Hugh Hewitt. I don't know. Stop and think about it for a moment. Basically, you can think of any major conservative host. And those are just the men. Dana Loesch, Ann Coulter, who is the person from Conservative Review who is with Mark Levin and Steven Crowder, Michelle Malkin. I mean, men, women, it doesn't matter. Now, again, it doesn't mean that anybody had to serve. No. All I'm saying is, I think there's something to be said about serving, right? Now, there is one gentleman with whom many of you might be quite familiar, Brian Suits. So I want to recognize him for being somebody of perhaps recognition and somebody that I might get emails from or messages saying, well, how about Brian Suits? Well, I will acknowledge Brian Suits' accomplishments and without going too far into detail on his background, he is definitely a military veteran who is a wartime Kuwait, Bosnia, and Iraq conflicts veteran. So that is not to say that there are none. There's a pretty small pool of military veterans who are taking to a microphone or a camera and trying to pick up the conservative baton and the flag of conservative ideas and champion them for our own children and our children's children. It really hits home when you consider what our children have to look forward to. And for those of you who have small children, as I do, it can be sad at times when we consider there are fewer and fewer people who are willing to speak truth and acknowledge what is sane and reasonable. When we consider how backwards our world will be for our children, I really can't think of a better motivation to let our voice be heard from the mountaintops and say, at least we took a stand. At least we made an attempt to say something. At least we tried to encourage others to say something. At least we motivated each other to hold the line, to stand the ground, to reinforce what we know to be true, what we know to be right. That's the hill that I am willing to die on. The proverbial hill that I'm willing to take a stand and fall. I'm going to lose a lot of listeners when I say that
Best contribution.
I can't tell you what we're about to do. You just have to trust me.
Invest
So,
contribution.
I'll accept. Many of you and most of you may just say, yeah, whatever. It's just you're pulling my leg. You're just egging me on. It's just gonna, yeah. You're just trying to. But I'm dead serious. If I just told you
Invest
now, it would. It's like trying to explain a joke, right? When you've tried to tell somebody a joke and they don't get it,
Subscribe today.
and you start explaining to them. Well, in the process of explaining to them,
Subscribe
the humor's gone.
today. Subscribe.
Like
today.
90% of comedy and
Subscribe
humor
today.
is the delivery, is the presentation
Subscribe
to
today.
get what is not said, what is not
Subscribe
explained, to understand the unexplainable, the things that
Subscribe today.
can't be expressed. So
Subscribe today.
it will let the air out of the bag. If I get into the details about what we're about to do, all I can try and explain is it's going to be big and great. Amazing.
Subscribe today. Subscribe
Educational and entertaining,
today. Subscribe today.
I think is a little too cliche or overused. So we'll have to come up with something better than that, a little catchier. Listen, folks, we've got so much planned. I start going because we haven't even reached our year mark, and we are on the edge of so many big things. We are having to step back from a number of things that we initially wanted to develop. We understand there's many choices. We understand there's a lot of competition out there for your ear, for your time, for your money, for your
Subscribe today.
energy.
Subscribe
So it's
today.
important that we
Subscribe today.
constantly keep that in mind. So check out conservativescorner.com/order. conservativescorner.com/order. As we grow, as fast as we do, we want you to consider what we're trying to accomplish and perhaps provide some feedback, engage, go onto our social media platforms and interact.